All right, so the teardown is now complete. So I'm gonna basically clean up a bit, and then it's time for me to start putting everything back together. And so start on that process. And I didn't record taking the inner front cover off, the part that connects straight to the block. Um, but yeah, basically those came off at the one bolt was about 470 pounds is what's torqued to, and the other one's like 250. So I got those off, then the cover came off. Just pulled the camshaft out. And now I'm just gonna start putting those back on, and basically do everything in reverse order and see how it goes. All right, so I started to reassemble the front. I put the gaskets on the rear timing cover. The back got new gaskets on there. And now I'm trying to torque these two timing gears down. This one up top torques to 240, and this one torques to 470 pounds. I have a 1/2 inch breaker bar that's like 25 inches long, but just trying to get this one up here. I can get to about 200, but then my breaker bar starts to like really bend. So I'm gonna go pick up a 3/4 drive one that's 36 inches long and hope I can do it with that. The issue is I just don't have a lot of space here because again it's a front engine. So getting that breaker bar in there is a real pain to say the least. But yeah, I'm gonna go run and try and get a breaker bar for this real quick and then come back and try and tighten those two down. Not sure how I'm gonna get the 470 foot-pound one, but we'll see. All right, I didn't really record any of putting the front cover back together, but it's all back together now. I got those 2-bit main bolts torqued down to like 270, and the other ones I got to 440. It says 470, but I just wasn't able to get it to 470. I was able to get it to 440 though, and I figured that's probably good enough. I put the fan drive back on, and then the belt tensioner back on as well, and my alternator there back on. This is my water pump. I just got to put the pulley piece back on. And then I got the engine mounted back up to the frame mount. So I was able to take those jack stands out. Now that this is all put back together, I'm not going to do anything else to the front. I'm going to start working on what was actually initially wrong now. The front's basically done. But I'm not going to put the vibration dampener back on until I'm like ready for it, because it blocks the two holes here for the oil pickup tube on the other side. But I need the oil pickup tube off while I do the other stuff currently. So I'm kind of done on the front for now. And yeah, so I did have to replace a couple bolts. I replaced 1, 2, 3 bolts here. One of them need to be replaced, but I actually had ordered ones for the ones that needed to be replaced. But then when looking at a few of the other bolts, I just decided I wanted to replace them. They were a bit too rusted. If they were rusty at all, really, I replaced them. So place those 3 there. And yeah, I'm gonna put the cam sensor back in just to plug that hole so no bugs or anything get into it. But yeah, I think I'm done with this, and now I'm going to start working on the rod bearings and main bearings. But I'll probably do that tomorrow. I'm probably going to start cleaning this mess up today, just because it's getting late. All right, I'm back for another week of work. Hopefully getting the majority of the rebuild done this week. Currently, I'm going to start working on trying to assemble the cylinder liners, the cylinder sleeves, and everything that goes along with that. I briefly had a predicament. I opened up these new cylinder packages, and it came with 2 gaskets, which 2 gaskets is what were on the old cylinder sleeves, but I was expecting it to only be 1, like here, because that's what they came with, the new one. And so then I was worried for a second I had the wrong part and all this stuff, because there's nowhere on here for another gasket to go. But after probably like an hour research and everything, kind come to find out, yes, they did only move to one gasket here, and I don't need the other gasket. My assumption is that, you know, just the company didn't want to have another product SKU basically. So this is what would be used for the old ones, like I had too as well, if I didn't go to the newer versions. And so they just throw these in with each one, instead of having to make sure they grab the right one. They just can grab a bag for each one. So I'm going to start assembling this. The nice thing about this one is this comes pre-assembled, so the piston's already in it, so I don't have to compress the rings and everything like that. I do need to install the arm, the rod, so I'm going to try and do that now, see how easily this goes. But what I'm really trying to do is, you know, I'm in a very sandy environment currently doing this rebuild, so being very careful not to get sand on everything. So especially these parts where scoring is a possibility. So put the gloves on. Now basically I need to push the piston out just enough that I can get to whatever that's called. To be honest, I don't even know what this is called. There we go. I think that's enough there. Do I have something to get that retention piece out? All right, I'm back, and I got some snap ring pliers from AutoZone, which is right down the street. So it took me like 15 minutes. Not bad. Yeah, slide out that side much easier. Okay, looking at in here. Okay, this needs to be like this, opening towards the. Let's see. It's not going in as easy as I would want it to. Let's put a little bit of assembly grease on that. Much better. Hopefully. Oh yeah, way better. I'm gonna put this one back on. Okay. Nice, that one's back in. Slide this back up before I accidentally knock it all the way out. Now I'm going to get one of the bearing kits and put one of the bearing on it before I slide it down. Should make it a lot easier. And you don't want any grease between the rod and the bearing, just because you don't want it to spin. You do, however, want grease between the bearing and the rod. Okay, that is in. I need to get the end caps, and so I'm gonna grab that real quick. All right, I'm going to install number 1 or number 5, whichever way you count it. I think technically that's number 5. Count from the front to the back, or I'm sorry, number 6. And I'll probably install number 1 as well before rotating the engine, because they're on the same stroke. which will make it easier to get access to. So I'm going to get my gloves on, avoid any sand contamination on the cylinder sleeve. And then I'm going to bring it over. I got the end cap ready as well, so I'll go under and connect that as well. Okay. Slowly drop this down in there. I'm going to go to the bottom and try and cap that off real quick.
All right, so I'm putting the, I'm not actually really sure what they're called, the rollers that go on the camshaft back in. I got 12 of them to put in. They go in groups of 2. And then you got these little like dog bones that hold them together. They come with one, but most people, or people say that sometimes they're blow up, and if they blow up, then it's a rebuild. They say people recommend while I'm in here, just double them up, put 2, and no one's had an issue with them after putting 2 of them. So I just bought a couple new ones, and now I got the double them up and good to put them back in. So I'm just going through putting them all back in, and then after these are on, I can put in the cylinder head back on, and will be the next step, which I'll probably do that tomorrow. I got the cylinder head at my house, and there's some things I got to put back onto it. I got to put the high pressure oil rail back on. I had that off, so I was painting it. So I got to put that back on. And then yeah, it's little things like that. Okay. There you go. Just 2 more sets.
All right, it's time to put the cylinder head back on. I rigged up a crazy contraption here to hoist the cylinder head and try and get it into place. Yeah, I might put the gasket back on the top, then try and lower that down without messing anything up. I think I'm going to actually lower this down where it is and adjust it to try and get it to sit more level. Alright, I put the gasket on. There's really only one way it can go, so put that on, and now to try and do this absolute mess. I'm going to try and, just throwing all this, I've already got a little bit of sand on the bottom of the cylinder head, so I'm just going to try and wipe that off real quick. Oh yeah, it's actually really clean. That's oil. I put some oil on it to prevent it from rusting when it was in the garage stored. Okay. Try and slide it over a bit. I'm gonna try and drop it a bit. Needs to come over to the left, or my left, your right. Okay. I'm gonna get All right, I think I just got lowered perfectly. All right, before I take this whole wood brace system down, I'm gonna put all the short bolts in and just make sure they all go in as they should. Just make sure I don't need to lift this back up. Which way I put it? And I'm just snugging them up a bit with this, and then I'll go through and actually torque them all to the torque pattern and the correct torque once I put them all in. All right, those all seem going pretty well. I need to move this bar to get the other ones in, so I think I will start doing that. Putting in the 6 long bolts, 6 of these. They just go up top here. Again, I'm not torquing them down yet. I'm just getting them into place. But I will be torquing them down here soon. All right, so those are all in. All right, so I just torqued all the head bolts to 100 pounds. Now I need to go through and torque them all to 130, the correct sequence. And then after that, I need to torque them all 90 degrees. So I'm going to do them to 130 now, and then I'll see how the whole 90 degrees goes. I may have to use my impact for that. We'll see how hard it is. That's 130. Now, start doing the sequence that wants it. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Whew. 21. 22. 23. 24. Okay, 2 more. 25. 26. Okay. Now I'm just going to go through them all real quick. Make sure they're all torqued. Okay, these are all on. Mark them all. Gonna turn them an extra 90 degrees. So start marking these. An absolutely massive breaker bar. Hopefully, will do the trick, but we will see. A little bit more. There we go.
The night we left the city lights, the storms had closed the roads. We made it through improbably, that's how it always goes.
Let me just double check. Yep, they're all torqued down. All right, so it's the next day. I quickly went and installed the oil cooler down there. I got a new oil cooler and painted everything, so that's all in. I'm working now to install the manifold and turbo. The turbo was seized onto the exhaust. I'm sorry, the turbo was seized onto the manifold, and I just didn't take it out. I just decided to leave them together, which is going to make putting this back in much harder. But what can you do? So I'm just gonna try and work with it and get it into place.
The thunder in the trees above, the loudest that we've heard. Sometimes our words are not enough, there's silence to observe. And I felt far away from the center of me. When there's so much want, you forget what you need. And there's nothing like some nothing to help you breathe. By the western lakes I fall in love, and I'm falling once again. There's nothing quite like slowing down, or time spent with a friend. And I felt...
Alright, I'm going to finish tightening all these bolts down and back. This manifold and turbo are in, everything is torqued down. Got the oil inlet and oil, I guess back to the engine outlet hooked up as well. Here I hooked up I tapped my exhaust manifold and put a pyrometer there. Measures the temperature of the exhaust coming out. Once I'm done rebuilding this engine, I plan to do a tune to it. So that I'll be able to monitor the temperatures of my exhaust gas just to make sure It doesn't get too hot. And got this new digital torque adapter, so I can just see what they're all getting torqued to. I need to torque all the injectors to 10 foot-pounds. Do that now. That's torqued. It's torqued. So go through each one. We got 2 more. Okay, 2 more. Okay, just last one. I'm going to install my new thermostat just so I can plug that hole. Don't have to worry about sand getting in it. It goes right here. This just sits in like that and I torque it down. But I'm going to put some oil in the gasket real quick, right there, and then I'm going to torque that down. Alright, so I'm going to be adjusting the valves now today. I was having an issue getting it lined up because you want piston 1 to be on the compression stroke with the exhaust on piston 2 down. But like you're supposed to line up the top dead center line on the front of your crankcase, which is molded in right here. You're supposed to line that up. But I was thinking there's this line here on the vibration dampener that I was thinking that was what I was supposed to line up, but then the valves weren't correct. But then I finally found there's actually a little, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little notch here in the metal. That's what I'm supposed to be lining up for top dead center, not the line here. So once I figured that out, it was pretty easy. But yeah, I just didn't even notice that notch there. In the instruction manual, didn't really say anything about it. But I found something online that someone was talking about that notch there, and I went and looked at getting a new one of these. I could see the notch in the picture, so figured out that's what that was for. So now that I have it correct, I am going to adjust the valves. These valves are supposed to be at 0.025. So I got a feeler gauge here to test those and adjust them correctly. This is the only one I need here. I adjusted the valves on my motorcycle and it was like not even a third this size. 0.025 is actually very big as far as valves go. But yeah, you adjust the exhaust and intake valves to 0.025. So it should be pretty straightforward. When piston 1's at top dead center, I need to do 10, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 10. So I'm going to start with 10 just because it's here. I'm going to bend this also. Let me get some pliers. It'll make having this bent will be way easier if I can just rotate this up a bit. There we go. That'll make this way easier. The feeler gauge, this whole thing was like $5, so I'm not worried about ruining it, being honest. Woohoo. Need to back that nut off some. You just feel some light rubbing, which is what I feel there. And then I believe it's a 15 millimeter to actually lock this down. So I'm gonna try to lock this nut down. And I'm gonna recheck it real quick. Oh yeah, it feels good. It just catching a little bit, kind of like bouncing around. So yeah, I'm gonna do that on 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 now. All right, so I got all the valves adjusted. I'm going to put the valve cover back on it just for now, just set it on, just prevent any sand, bugs, whatnot flying into the block. So yeah, I'm going to close that up, and then I'll probably go back to the front of my bus and start putting some of the coolant piping on. Before I finish up with all this, I'm going to put my radiator on, add some coolant, and then pressure test the system. And yeah, and if that's all good to go, then I'm just really going to finish up buttoning everything back up, putting the front back together. I need to attach the fuel return line there, and then attach some sensors. But otherwise, this is pretty much good to go. So I'm going to start doing that. All right. The bus is officially put back together. Got the front inside all put back together, stuff zip tied, and then got all the front put back together. This has been sitting on the ground, so I need to wash the bus. It's gotten very dirty, sitting here for a month. But yeah, I got everything hooked back up, coolant in. I did a quick pressure test of the system. Nothing was leaking at 10 psi. I had to change the bulb here. So I can see the coolant level, that was leaking. And then I also, while I was doing all this, I also changed the oil in the differential. I'm just not sure when that was ever done. So I just did it now. So now I know when the last time it's been replaced. But yeah, so I'm gonna clean up the inside a little bit and then try and start it. Cross my fingers. It starts, and then I'm going to make my break-in run. I'm gonna go to the landfill, and got like basically 15 gallons of oil and a bunch of scrap metal, wood with oil on it and everything that I just need to get rid of. So I'm gonna clean a bit, and then I'll see if I can get it started. Wish me luck. Okay, I'm gonna give it a second. Just started to crank there. You're not supposed to go for more than, I think it's at 10 to 15 seconds at a time. Let it rest 10 to 15 seconds. And then go again. Make sure all my switches are off. Okay. It's on. I'm gonna see if I can get my iPad connected where I can see all the logistics. I'm also going to open this and add more coolant if needed. Alright, the lights are hooked back up. I'm gonna go make sure they work. On. I think that's on. I can't tell. But right now it doesn't matter. I'll figure that out later. I just need to make sure my blinkers all work, so I'm gonna pull my emergency lights. Blinker. Blinker. Blinker, blinker. That's real dull. I think that was not getting good power. Blinker, blinker. Blinker, blinker. All right, I think I am good to try and drive. You will see how this goes. A couple things I want to do. I'll make sure this works. Those are my shutters in the front. I don't really need them to work right now. They're hooked up to, they don't get power unless this switch is turned on. So let's see if it, yeah, they close. All right, I'm gonna make sure they open. Then I'll make sure I can manually turn my fan. Yep, sounds like my fan is going. That area you hear hissing is it leaving the shutters, so the spring is opening back up. Yep, there it is. All right, my fan is going as well. Open this. All right. I think it's time to try this out. All right, here goes nothing. Alright, so a couple things to figure out. I'm back. Trip went smoothly, I guess. The fuse that controls like the accessories keeps blowing, so I need to see if I'm either one overloading it or if it's shorting out or if the fuse is bad. And then I'm only building, like the max I saw was 11 psi of boost. I should be getting up to close to 20, so I need to figure that out. Check that, see if I have any leaks or what's going on there. And then my brake press light is on, even when I'm not like pressing my brake or I don't have my emergency brake on. So I need to figure out why that's on. So those three things, pretty small things I think, but we'll see. Yeah. All right, so it's been a week since the test drive. Since then, I got a new kind of air sensor gauge, not the gauge, but sensor. So now that light on my dash is fixed, it turns off when it's supposed to. I got a new turbo that is solving the horrible noise. Even at idle. So I'm going to take it for a test drive now and just make sure everything is working as it should. I'm getting the correct boost and all, so I'm going to do that now. All right, here we go. I'm getting much more lower end boost than I was, but it's still not. All right, good news. It's been about a month since that last test drive, and the issues I was having with the I didn't have as clean of shifts as I wanted, and then the low boost issue and that noise I was making have now been solved. It took me about a month to solve those. For the noise, the turbo was grinding, so the turbo was going bad, and so I was hoping that was also the issue for the low boost as well. But I replaced the turbo, which unfortunately isn't that cheap. But I still had the low boost. I was only getting like 13 psi, so I did everything that you're supposed to do for that. So that was checking the for any leaks on the boots and everything like that. I did that a few different times, no leaks. I have a kit to actually test that well. Nothing there, and so I kind of just went through all these other parameters looking for different sensors that were bad. Those were all good. I took my muffler off in case that was a bit clogged up and causing some back pressure. That was not the issue. And I was wondering if there was some restriction caused by the new air filter, because I have a new air filter. So I actually took the air filter completely off and drove it for like half a mile and quickly realized that was not the issue. I also took the intercooler off, checked it to make sure it wasn't plugged up. I also then cleaned it a lot just to make sure there was no like oil or gunk inside. That came out really clean, so that was not the issue either. After all that, it turned out there was actually a exhaust leak on the underside of the manifold, which is why I was having an issue finding it because I really only have access to the top of it. And when I spray soapy water on it, it can only sit there for like half a second before it burns up because it's so hot. It's really hard to actually find a leak on that. And so I took the exhaust manifold back off and put a straight edge on it, and it was warped a bit. So I got a new exhaust manifold now and gasket for that, and that seems to have helped it a lot. I'm now building like 14 to 15 psi. I'm getting like 2 to 3 more psi than I was of boost. The difference with the new manifolds though, they're like the slip connect, and their new ones are very prone to leaking. They're at the slip connect form where they come in 3 pieces, and so I put some like Loctite 2000 degree putty on that, and it sealed it up a lot. So now I'm seeing around 16 psi on it. There are some still pinhole leaks on it, but usually those get filled in with the like carbon deposits. So the more I drive it, the more it should fix itself. And so I just took it out on another test drive again, and on the highway I even saw up to 17 psi. I was also, the main reason for me to go out was I was recalibrating my transmission. I have the Allison software on my computer, so I'm actually able to do all that stuff there. And yeah, everything's looking good. Everything ran right, so I'm hoping I'll actually be able to officially head out again on my trip in probably like 2 weeks. I got a lot of work next week with work, so I'm not going to do that. And then that weekend I'll kind of repack my bus with everything. I've been in here trying to organize stuff again just because I had just so many tools out. And then by the following week, I should be able to head out again. And so that's going to be my plan. I gotta move my computer and workstation stuff back in, and then my clothes was the main stuff I took out for this past month of me not living in here. So once I get that all back in here, I should be good to go. I did, in the meantime, while I was out, I replaced all the filters for my recirculating system here. I replaced my filters in the back, and then I also recharged my water softener in the back as well. So got all new filters on the bus again for my house stuff, and my water softener. So I should be completely ready to go again. There's not much more to do. Probably tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit of wire management on my electrical stuff, which I've been meaning to do for ages. Just going to run all the wires through this channel here. But yeah, then I'm good to go. And so hopefully in 2 weeks I'll be traveling again. So yeah, good stuff.